press conference today. Just wanted to give a brief outlook of where we are, being the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. The Startup India initiative is just 6 years old. It was launched in 2016 by the Honorable Prime Minister himself. Today, 30 states and UTs have their own startup policies. Way back in 2016, when the initiative was launched at the national level, there were just 3 or 4 odd states that had their policies in place. Back then, there were just 300 or 400 odd startups that were existing. Over the years, we have seen this phenomenal increase in the registration of startups. And what is interesting is the fact that out of these 72,000 startups that we have today, almost half of them are from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. This goes to show that unlike the ecosystem in some other countries where only there are some regions where startups are focused, we are now seeing a movement where people from small towns are also trying to come up with their own business models. There is entrepreneurship innovation across smaller cities, across villages. Every year we conduct National Startup Awards, and all of you have been a part of witnessing that celebration also. The kind of innovation that is coming from smaller cities is something that is given recognition to in those awards too. Over the last 6 years, we have been able to bring about more than 50 regulatory reforms. This has been the work in coordination with different ministries, with the ecosystem itself. So the stakeholders of the startup ecosystem have been helping us put together their demands in a very systematic manner. We've had a couple of meetings, series of meetings actually every year. We have with the finance department, with CBDT, with Ministry of Corporate Affairs, with RBI, with all the regulators. And there are a lot of 50 plus regulatory reforms that have happened because of this coordination between various departments. As I mentioned, almost 50% of our startups are coming from smaller towns. Interestingly, a fact which is not here, but I would want to share it with the media, that 50% of our startups have women on their board of directors, at least one woman on their board of directors. So this just goes to show that the younger generation in the country is really very inclusive, and you see more of women participation now in the newer companies that are coming up. The jobs that are being created by startups, we have seen there's an average of 11 direct jobs. This is some data that we take from startups by their self-reporting. So whenever we register a startup on our portal, they self-register data about their employment created. This is just direct employment. The indirect one would be many, many times more. Through a GEM, the government e-marketplace, we have a special runway for startups where they can register themselves, and when they register themselves on the GEM runway, they are given exemption from prior experience, prior turnover, so that there is more procurement done from young companies. And the figures there also are very interesting. So far, we've been able to place buy orders of more than 1.1 lakh. Orders have been taken for more than rupees 5,600 crore. And as we all know, just a few days back, India had recorded 100 unicorns. The numbers are just growing, and in the years to come, we are surely going to emerge as one of the most powerful startup nations in the world. Can you go to the next? Yeah, just a couple of other initiatives that we took. We are giving a blockchain-based certification, so there's no hampering with the recognition certificate and other certificates that we issue to them. We give 3 years tax holidays to deserving startups through under the Section 80 of the Indian Income Tax Act. Out of a period of 10 years, the startups that are approved by the Interministerial Board, they can choose any 3 years where they can avail their tax exemption. Also, in 2019, under Section 56, we were able to do away with what was called as the angel tax. So that was again a big reform that was brought about by this coordination between the ecosystem and the various departments. There's also a self-certification regime under 9 labor and 3 environmental laws for startups, so that the young companies can self-certify themselves and they don't have to run around. This is one of the very important pillars that this ministry undertakes under the ease of doing business branch too. Relaxations in public procurement. As a startup, there is a circular of the Department of Expenditure that they are exempt from prior experience, prior turnover. Even EMT startups don't have to deposit. As DPIIT, we ensure that our startups get access to the best of international markets, so we keep taking them regularly abroad to participate in various events, and they're able to pitch their ideas in front of some of the best VCs across the world. We have, and what is unique is that this entire program is on an online hub. So nobody comes to our office to get registered as a startup or to get some pitching opportunity, or just a couple of days back you would have seen that there's been a soft launch of the application process of the Mentorship Program. It's a program where startups will reach out to mentors, and through AI based platform they'll be able to get that mentorship support. Again, entirely portal based. Nobody comes here for anything. There was a scheme launched last year by the Honorable Prime Minister. It was a seed fund scheme. Under that scheme, startups get funding in early stages so that they can make their products and their prototypes and take it to commercialization levels. Again, an entirely online process. There's a committee which looks at the applications from incubators, which comes online. The startups are selected online. So this is a very new model that this entire initiative is running on. Two schemes which I'll quickly talk about. The Fund of Funds scheme is one which is it has a 10,000 crore corpus. It is being run by SIDBI. We give money to startups through AIFs which have been registered under SEBI. And so far we have committed, out of the 10,000 crore corpus, we have committed more than 7,000 crore to around 86 AIFs. And because of the commitment that SIDBI has given, this sovereign fund has given, the AIFs in turn have been able to raise 7 times more fund from the market. This has brought in an investment of more than 9,500 crore into 600 startups under this scheme. This was a scheme which was launched with a vision to boost more domestic investment into our startups. When it was launched in 2016, this whole ecosystem was still growing, and it's just 6 years down the line, we see that this is one of the biggest success stories of the Startup India initiative. Last year, as I mentioned, the seed fund scheme was launched by the Prime Minister. Under this scheme, we have so far approved money to more than 100 incubators now, and 436 startups have been able to benefit from this scheme so far. It's a scheme that's going to run for 4 years. This was just the first year, and we have seen some phenomenal success in this scheme too. As far as patent and trademark and the IPR facilities go, we have special schemes for startups even there. So each time a startup files an application for getting a patent, we give 50% reimbursement to the startup for the patent filing fees. There is also faster examination for startups, for women entrepreneurs, for MSMEs under our IPR regime. On trademarks, we give an 80% on patent and 50% on trademark, on the regulatory reforms I mentioned before, we've got more than 50 regulatory changes so far. And also last year, a couple of announcements were made where the EPFO and other government insurance and pension funds were also sort of encouraged, and it was opened up so that they could also invest into this ecosystem. Every year, the first time we celebrated this entire Startup India Innovation Week this year in January. We intend to do that every year now. And I want to thank you all for the coverage that you gave to the Innovation Week. It was a virtual event because there was a COVID wave we were all in the middle of. But thanks to you, the traction that we got was absolutely amazing. The participation that this week saw was I think more than 2 lakh people probably had registered, and they had been able to benefit from this week. Every year we do a state startup ranking of the states. So this is not an initiative which only the government of India is driving at the central level. We are pushing it right down to the grassroots level through various states. Throughout the year, we do capacity building exercises with the state governments. Under this ranking, there are various pillars under which we rank the states. The results of the 3rd edition were just announced a couple of days back, and all the states, all the UTs, you would have seen with a lot of pleasure. They were happy about their performance, and they went back inspired, and were all set to do new things in the regions that they belong to. The National Startup Awards, we do these every year. This is not just for startups who are doing well commercially. This is to recognize and appreciate the startups who are solving problems unique to India, who are bringing up solutions that are low cost. This is the award which is unique in that manner, not just commercial names we look at. Another unique model which is implemented, I would say, or was introduced under the Startup India initiative was the setting up of the National Startup Advisory Council. In this council, you have some of the best names from the ecosystem and the departments that are working in this domain. What is interesting is that each member of the National Startup Advisory Council has picked up a program of her or his own choice and is practically driving it with the support, with our support, with the support of other departments, with the support of the whole ecosystem. On the day when the state's ranking was declared, you would have noticed that this mentorship portal was also opened up for application from mentors. Now this was a program which is a product of the National Startup Advisory Council, where one of the members picked up this task and helped in the creation of this portal. There is another portal I would want to share. It's a little early, but it's in the making, and maybe within 2 months we'll be getting that launched too. It's on the investor startup matchmaking. So whenever a startup, now the mentorship issue, this MentorMark portal will solve. The investment issue, when a startup is looking for investment, that is again something we are going to solve through an online platform. There will be funds which will be online. They will register on that. There will be startups who will be wanting funding. Again, the matchmaking will happen through AI, and this platform will be something which we'll be presenting to the ecosystem very soon. We'll be launching it very soon. You would have all seen the Startup Champions program on Doordarshan. Again, that is through Doordarshan, we wanted the entire story to go down again to the grassroots level, and the viewership in the audience that we see in this program also is something that we are very grateful to the media for. You've been able to put the word around, and it has been one of the most successful programs under this initiative. The Startup India Showcase is a showcase where we some of the best startups with good products which are already there in the market. They showcase their products to the ecosystem and the market through our portal. The Expo Dubai again was something where a lot of startups participated. They were able to get good funds there and able to pitch their ideas to the best in the world. Next, please. That's it. Just wanted to give you a perspective of what all it is that the government has done, and our effort in trying to give a very holistic package to the startups, which is not just limited to 1 or 2 pillars. It's a holistic manner through which we try to catch them young and help them in the entire journey by giving them mentorship, pitching opportunities, international market access, and capacity building through workshops, how to deal with regulatory issues. We keep organizing that, and yeah, that is what we do.